You know that feeling when you just know what you're doing, really feel in command, not
Yeah.
just reacting. That sense of control over your work, your life, even yourself.
Yeah, that's what our sources are calling mastery.
Exactly. And what's great is they argue it's not just for like historical icons, but something we can all actually work towards.
Absolutely. And these sources really break down that journey. It's not just about brains, but how we learn, how we adapt, and importantly, how we handle the social side of things too.
Right. So our mission here is to pull out the key ideas from all this material we've got history, contemporary examples, the whole range, and give you some real actionable ways to cultivate that mastery in your own life. We're looking for those insights, those shifts in how you might see things.
Okay, so the sources map out this path generally in three phases. Should we start with the first one? The outsider.
Yeah, let's dive in. So the outsider phase, this is basically when you're brand new to something, right?
Think about learning an instrument, like the piano example in one source. All those keys, the pedals, it's a lot. Or starting a new job, new faces, new rules you don't quite get. You feel a bit out of your depth.
Totally. That feeling of only knowing the absolute basics, maybe feeling kind of intimidated by everything you don't know yet.
Just trying to follow the basic rules.
But then if you stick with it, you move into phase two, immersion. And this seems to be where things really start to change.
Immersion is all about practice, deep practice. You start to really internalize how things connect in that field. It's not just knowing facts, it's feeling the connections.
Yeah, like you get a real sense of the whole system.
And that's when you get leverage. You start to see how the pieces fit together, maybe in ways others don't.
And this is where the creativity starts bubbling up, isn't it? You're not just following steps anymore.
Exactly. You can experiment, play around, put your own twist on things because you understand the fundamentals so deeply.
Which then leads to the ultimate goal, this third phase, intuition, the mastery level.
This is where it gets really fascinating. Your knowledge, your experience, it all comes together. You grasp the reality of a situation almost instantly. One source calls it a sudden seizing of reality without needing words or formulas.
A sudden seizing. I like that. It's like those aha moments you sometimes get, but maybe more reliable, more frequent.
Kind of. The sources contrast it with how we usually think slowly, logically, step by step. Think of an animal's reaction, pure instinct. Humans often get bogged down in analysis.
Right, we overthink.
But mastery seems to blend both that instinct and reason, conscious thought and unconscious understanding working together. It's like rediscovering a kind of childlike intuition, but, on a much higher, more informed level.
That makes sense. Kids just see things sometimes before we learn to filter everything. But masters get that back, refined through all the hard work.
Yeah, the sources suggest we kind of lose that raw intuition as we get older, buried under information. Masters excavate it again.
And it's crucial to point out, this isn't about finding some secret trick, is it?
Not at all. The sources really push back against that idea, the old alchemy approach of searching for a magic formula. The real power, they argue, is in our brains how flexible and adaptable they are. It's wired into us from our hunter-gatherer days. We had to learn and adapt constantly.
So if we all have this potential, this brain plasticity, why doesn't everyone reach mastery? That's the big question.
Well, this is where the idea of an inner calling comes in, a deep interest, something that pulls you forward. It's what gets masters through the tough stuff, the pain, the doubt, the boring bits.
So it's not just about being smart, it's desire, patience, persistence, that kind of grit.
Exactly. Emotional qualities are key. Confidence, too. And historically, we have to remember there were huge social barriers, right? Who even got the chance to pursue mastery was very limited.
That's a really important point. The landscape looked very different.
But things have opened up. Access to information, more freedom. It sort of demystifies the idea of genius. It's less about innate magic and more about opportunity and drive.
And mastery, in this view, isn't about dominating other people, is it?
No, it's internal. It's about shaping your own path, taking charge of your own development, especially when things feel kind of stagnant around you. It's an active stance against passivity.
Rejecting passivity, I like that. And the idea that our actions literally shake our brains. The whole journey is framed as a ritual of transformation. Old ideas die, new abilities emerge.
And the sources draw on such a rich tapestry of examples: Da Vinci, Mozart, Darwin, Einstein, but also contemporary masters through interviews. They look at the whole arc. finding your purpose, the apprenticeship, the creative phase, even the philosophy behind it all.
It's definitely not presented as a simple linear path, though.
Oh, absolutely not. Life keeps changing. You have to keep learning, keep renewing that creativity, maybe even revisit your core calling as things shift. Complacency is the enemy. Resting on your laurels just leads to decay, mentally and creatively.
And they really hammer home that point about talent not being purely innate, that Nietzsche quote.
Right, about greatness being acquired through diligence, hard work, paying attention to the details. It's built, not just bestowed.
Okay, so we've got the phases. Now let's dig into that very first step. Discovering your calling, your life's task. How do you find that?
It's about tuning into that inner force, that thing that naturally pulls you. Often the sources say it's clearest in childhood, but life kind of layers over it.
Like Leonardo da Vinci, his obsession with nature, sketching everything, that was clearly there from the start.
Exactly. And his persistence, like with that massive bronze horse project, even when it failed initially. He loved the process. He even saw his unconventional birth as freeing him up, in a way.
So the advice is basically, look back. Reconnect with what fascinated you as a kid.
Pretty much. Those early interests are often the purest clues. And the sources offer 5 specific strategies to help you do that.
Okay, let's break them down. First, return to your origins.
This means looking at your childhood. What simple things fascinated you? What activities did you do over and over? What subjects just grabbed your curiosity way more than others? Where did you feel a sense of power or flow?
Like Einstein and the compass, or Marie Curie being drawn to her father's lab equipment. Those strong early signals.
Precisely. Strategy 2 is occupy the perfect niche.
Embrace what makes you different.
Yes. Like V.S. Ramachandran being fascinated by seashells as a kid, something unusual, which he eventually wove into his scientific career. Find your unique spot. Maybe you combine diverse skills, or maybe you go super deep into one narrow area. The advantage is often less competition, more freedom.
Okay, third, avoid the false path. This sounds important.
It is. It's about being wary of motivations that aren't truly yours. Like, are you doing something just to rebel, or because your parents pushed you, or to compete with a sibling?
Like Mozart maybe initially being drawn to piano, partly because his sister got attention for it, though he obviously found his real passion later.
Right. Or Buckminster Fuller, struggling in traditional schools because he saw the world differently. He bounced around, failed a bit, until he finally committed to his own unique ideas, like the Dymaxion car and geodesic dome. Pursuing something for money or status when it's not your path, it leads to emptiness.
Yeah, you can feel that hollowness. Okay, fourth strategy.
Trust the process. This is about understanding that learning often happens under the surface, even when you feel stuck.
Like Cesar Rodriguez, a pilot. He struggled at first.
Exactly. He'd found success in football through intense practice, overcoming doubts. He applied that same mindset to flying. Just drill, visualize, trust that habituation would work. He had intense training, and eventually that feeling of connection with the plane just clicked. You have to trust that the effort pays off.
Allow things to fall into place. And the fifth one is, interesting, move toward resistance and pain.
Sounds rough, but the idea is growth happens when you tackle weaknesses head on. Think of Bill Bradley, the basketball player. He wasn't seen as a natural, so he did insane drills weights in his shoes, dribbling with vision blockers, peripheral vision training.
Wow, really targeting his weak spots.
Or John Keats, pursuing his literary education despite being apprenticed as a surgeon and facing difficult circumstances. He leaned into the challenge.
Okay, so you find your calling, you embrace the challenges, then comes the apprenticeship phase. This sounds crucial.
It's fundamental, and the sources emphasize this isn't just about getting a job or a title. It's about transforming your mind, your character. You start out naive, maybe, and the goal is to get grounded in reality through real skills and knowledge.
So choose learning over just money.
That's the advice. Pick the place, the role that offers the most chance to learn, even if the pay isn't top dollar initially. Building that competence is the real goal.
And a big part of this is observing and absorbing. Right.
Absolutely. Just soak it all in first. The actual knowledge, sure, but also the unwritten rules, the way people interact, the power dynamics, the company culture, or the field style. Be passive initially. Just watch and listen before trying to impress anyone.
Then comes the active part, developing skills.
And this requires intense focus, deep practice. You're literally wiring your brain. Diffused attention doesn't work. Be present. Observe yourself. Seek feedback. Be okay with self-criticism.
Yeah.
It creates a cycle of faster learning, gets you into that flow state, builds that deep, unspoken or tacit knowledge.
This really sets the stage for mastery later on.
Definitely. Look at Zora Neale Hurston. Her circumstances were incredibly tough, mother's death, poverty, but she created her own apprenticeship.
How did you do that?
So resourceful, reading books in the homes where she worked as a maid, memorizing things, learning from traveling performers, becoming a manicurist, just to listen to political gossip in a barbershop, even falsifying her age to get back into high school. She was always moving, always expanding her world.
Wow, that takes incredible drive.
It culminated in her first successful novel, drawing on all those diverse experiences. Her story shows, especially if you're starting from behind, no one just hands you an apprenticeship. You need immense energy and initiative.
And finding a mentor is often highlighted as key in this phase.
Yes, the sources call it the most efficient way to learn. A good mentor focuses you, challenges you, passes on deep knowledge, gives feedback, shapes your thinking. But you have to choose wisely, someone aligned with your calling, and know that the aim is eventually to surpass them.
Michael Faraday's story is amazing here.
Yeah.
From poverty to science giant.
Right. Self-educated through reading, replicating experiments, taking meticulous notes at lectures, and then connecting with Humphrey Davy. It seems like luck, but Faraday's intense hunger and focus made him ready for that opportunity.
The alchemy of knowledge metaphor they use is cool the mentor as the catalyst.
Turning raw knowledge into active understanding. And Faraday's religious beliefs apparently played a role too, animating his quest. But the point is, you have to show that drive to attract a mentor.
And the relationship evolves, doesn't it? It's not static.
No. Often there's initial idealization, then a necessary phase where you differentiate yourself, develop your own voice. Think of Jung and Freud complex, or V.S. Ramachandra needing to disagree with his mentor, Gregory, to find his own path.
Like that Da Vinci quote, "Poor is the apprentice who does not surpass his master."
Exactly. It should be a dynamic back and forth, mutual learning. The boxing trainers Freddie Roach and Eddie Futch are a great example. Futch patiently teaching, Roach actively questioning.
And self-teaching is still an option too, right?
Oh yeah, learning from books, from your own mistakes. But it requires maybe an even clearer vision and a unique path. You're picking things up implicitly, unconsciously absorbing the rules, as Polanyi put it.
Okay, so we've covered finding the calling, the apprenticeship, but technical skill isn't enough. The sources stress social intelligence. Why is that so crucial?
Because navigating people, understanding social dynamics, it frees up your mental energy to focus on the actual learning and work. If you're constantly caught in conflicts or misunderstandings, you can't focus. It's about seeing people clearly without your own projections getting in the way, understanding their motivations, spotting manipulation.
And the Benjamin Franklin story is such a detailed illustration of learning this the hard way.
Absolutely. His early naivete with the silenced do-good letters, expecting praise, getting jealousy from his brother instead, then getting totally played by Governor Keith in Philadelphia. The embarrassing beer incident in London, it forced him to confront his own lack of social awareness.
He really had some tough lessons.
But he learned. He decided to step back, observe more, focus on others' perspectives, accept human nature flaws and all. That's the thinking inside idea, like he did with the silenced do-good persona.
And that shift paid off later.
Hugely. How he handled his old boss, Keimer, anticipating his moves. How he won over Isaac Norris in the legislature by appealing to his pride in rare books. And ultimately in France, crafting that perfect persona to win alliances, he mastered social rationality.
Avoiding that naive perspective seems key, not seeing people through rose-tinted glasses or assuming everyone thinks like you.
Exactly. That leads to misinterpretations, conflicts, wasted energy. You have to ditch it, focus outward, observe, empathize. And it's not about being cold or emotionless.
Right, it's about directing empathy outward.
Yes, to understand their experience, not just react based on your own feelings. The advice is actually to look back at your own social missteps and see where your own misjudgment, not just their actions, played a role.
Okay, so there's specific knowledge, reading individuals, and general knowledge understanding human nature patterns.
For specific knowledge, it's about quieting your own inner chatter to pick up on nonverbal cues, tone, eyes, body language. Like our ancestors had to be hyper-aware. Pay less attention to words, more to the signals beneath. Trust those gut feelings.
Especially with people in power, maybe.
Good point. Lower your own guard internally, but direct that empathy outwards. Resist making it all about you. Try imagining the world from their viewpoint.
And the general knowledge part. Understanding common types.
Yeah, the sources list a few archetypes. The rigid type, afraid of change. The self-obsessed, always looking out for number one. The lazy, seeking shortcuts. The flighty, emotionally unstable. The passive-aggressive, controlling indirectly. Recognizing these patterns helps you navigate.
Not judging, just understanding the dynamics.
Exactly, like Darwin acknowledged our duality, noble qualities, and lowly origins.
So how do you maintain this social intelligence? The sources give 4 strategies.
Right. First, speak through your work. Let your results be your main argument against politics or shallow judgments, like Ignaz Semmelweis proving his point about childbed fever through relentless work and data despite resistance.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Second, craft the appropriate persona.
Be conscious of the image you project. Teresita Fernandez, the artist, is a great example. She felt like an outsider, worked odd hours, had this air of mystery. Initially, she let others define her, but then she actively shaped her persona to be seen as serious, balancing mystery and assertiveness. Her public image became part of her art.
People judge by appearances, so you might as well have some control over it.
Exactly. Third strategy, and this one's tough. Learn to see yourself as others do.
Oof. Getting honest feedback.
Yeah. Like Nancy Duarte realizing her presentations weren't effective, actively seeking blunt feedback, and totally transforming her style. It's hard because we're attached to our self-image and others might hesitate to be critical, but seeing yourself objectively is incredibly valuable.
And a final one.
Keep your eye on the long term. Don't get bogged down in petty, short-term social dramas. Remember your larger goals. It helps maintain perspective and avoid wasting energy on pointless battles.
Wow. Okay, so putting it all together, mastery isn't just one thing. It's this whole ongoing process. Skill, self-awareness, social understanding.
It really is a journey. Continuous learning, refining yourself, and the path outlined in these sources, finding the calling, the apprenticeship, navigating the social stuff, it really does offer a kind of roadmap, doesn't it, for finding more purpose, more control.
Definitely. It feels very empowering, actually. So maybe a final thought for you listening. Out of everything we've talked about, what's one piece that really landed? Is it reconnecting with something from your childhood, maybe observing your workplace dynamics differently tomorrow, or even just rethinking a past social interaction?
Because the sources seem to suggest that the whole journey, that path to mastery, really starts with those kinds of small conscious steps.